Hi everybody and welcome to lisahortoncrafts. So today I thought I would give you a run through of how we use our new Ulti-Mate 2, which is a multi-tool which is for your stenciling, your scoring and your inking. What do we get in the box and how does it work? Now it comes in a beautiful bag. Now it's kind of like a clutch bag and it's in I want to say it's a felt, but it's much thicker than a felt. And it's a little bit more durable than felt. And it has a little pocket at the front for you, so you can store your stencils in there, your dies or whatever you fancy storing in there. So when we look at our tool, first of all, you can see straight away we have our silicone mat, which is really, really handy. Now these are marked in centimetre increments for you, and we've done a little crosshatch straight down the middle, so you can see the exact centre of the card. So this is really useful when you're doing your stamping or you're wanting to line up stencils, or if you want to do your reverse stamping techniques, because being silicone, what you can actually do, it's got a very smooth surface. You can stamp onto the silicone mat, pop your card over the top, and then when you reveal it you have the reverse image. So it gives you lots of opportunities and it's great to be able to line it up perfectly. But the other beautiful thing about the mat without the rest of the tool is that its ability to keep your card relatively stable and in position. So yes, you can lift your card up like so, you can. But what you can also do is when you pop your card down, it doesn't jiggle around on your mat. So if you're doing your inking techniques, it's what's really handy is to be able to ink and not worry that if you use a flat surface, like if I use this surface here, if I ink, this moves everywhere. Whereas if we pop it straight onto our silicone mat, it absolutely doesn't do that. So you can literally ink with ease. The other beautiful thing about your mat is that you are also going to be able to do your water techniques on here. So you can create backgrounds by using this. You can put your ink pads onto this, you can do your blending on this, you can also do your heat techniques on this, which is lovely. Being silicone, you can do your heat embossing onto the mat as well, which is absolutely great. Now the other benefits of the tool, let me just talk you through them before we get into the peg system. Let me lift this off first of all. And I'm going to pop this just to one side here, so it goes off camera slightly, but this is what we're looking at currently. So this is your bed where we will be doing our majority of our work. So this is what the tool is designed for. This is where it comes into its own, and this is where you're going to find you will spend most of your time on this particular side. But what we did feel it was really cool to do was to add a scoreboard or a scoring tool on the back. Now mine's marked and I've done this out of choice because what we did here, we've put a ruler up here with your centimeters and your inches, so that's something completely separate for you to be able to use. So if you are trying to do something and you want to measure 3.5 inches, you can. If you want to measure a few centimeters, you can and mark it. But across here, what we've done, rather than putting grooves at every inch mark, we've done scoring tools, so you have a groove at every 1/8 of an inch. So this means now, for me, I found it a lot easier to mark down every 8th line to give me my perfect inch increments, and it also gives me 1/8 of an inch accurately within each section. So this is really for you just to make life a little bit easier. If you decide you want to mark at 3 inches or you want to do some decorative patterns on your card, it's just something we felt it would be silly to waste the rear of the tool by not giving you something else that works handily for you. Also included for you on the tool up here, you will see, if I put my hand there, I'm going to try and do this carefully. We have this little area here. So inside here, you will see you have a tool. So what this does, this gives you more options, absolutely more options. So you can, let me pop this back on here so you can actually see better. So obviously your silicone mat fits perfectly both sides of your tool because this is obviously equal on the back and the front. But in here we have lots and lots of options for you. So we have our little wax tipped end, which is perfect if you've got those odd little die cuts. Let me see if I can grab one here. So if you want to pick up your odd die cuts, it will do that for you, so it's really handy. You can also pick up your gems and other other elements that you might find are really tricky to handle. What I would say is this comes unscrewed if you need to. These are replaceable. They're standard in the industry, and they have a little screw head there for you. So they can be replaced, although we will be looking at supplying these separately over time. Now, the other end, you have your ball tools. Now, I've chosen to keep my nibs inside my lid, but you will get a little pop for your nibs. Now, again, this is really handy because this unscrews and you can remove your tip. So you get a wider ball tool. It's very hard to see on the camera, but you get a slightly smaller ball tool, and you get a little pokey tool as well there for you. So if you want to do any kind of marking or indents in your card, you will have your sharper pokey tool, and then you'll have your two ball tools. And to use these, all you do is you have the open end here, you pop that inside like so, and you screw this back on. So you can make choices. If you want to use this with your scoring tool, you absolutely can. If you need to use it for any other score balls that you do use, you can. So all you need to do now is lift this off. I've already marked my ink increments. If I want to score at 2 inches, I bring that down, follow the marks I've made, and I can score down easily, turn over, repeat. But now the beauty of this scoring tool is if I want 2 and 1/8, I can literally go along 1 and score at the 1/8 mark. So it now gives you lots and lots of options. So the 1/8 mark, I think, is really handy, especially for our customers in the US particularly. So this is really, really cool. So if you're doing little boxes that you need, or the box envelopes, so you can create your 1/8 of an inch little score. It's very hard to see because it's black, but it gives you the ability to do lots and lots of things. So that's that. So they're kind of your extras that I popped on just to make it so it is a tool that you're going to be able to get a lot of use out of. Put that in like so, close that down, and there we go. So that's your little bonus. But the main focus of this tool is our peg system on the front. So you'll see it wipes clean beautifully. If you find, particularly like with a red ink or a green ink, you're finding that it may be staining a little bit, a little rubbing alcohol should bring that colour back. But either way, we are selling the silicone mats separately. They will come rolled in a box, and they are available as well. So now I'm going to bring in one of my stencil sets, which comes with a layering stencil, a die, and a 3D deep etched embossing folder. All of my folders are available in this way if they have a floral, if they have something that lends itself to this kind of style. So let me just grab one of my embossing folders. This is our spring anemone. Now this is our set of layering stencils. Now you'll see when I open this up, this is a much loved and much used set. It is absolutely beautiful, and it comes with 6 layering stencils. We also have the spring anemone embossing folder. This is a 5x7 3D, such deeply etched embossing folder, you will not believe it. It is the most beautiful design. And it also comes with the cutting die. Now all of our stencils and embossing folders will mix and match. So now you have the ability to stencil on its own. You have the ability to stencil and emboss. You have the ability to die cut, stencil and emboss. You have the ability to stencil, die cut and emboss. The combinations are incredible. So I'm going to get into a quick demo and just show you how we use this beautiful set. I'm going to show you how we cut it out, how we emboss it, and then how we bring in that fantastic layering system on the Ulti-Mate 2, because this is where your life becomes very, very easy. So where do we start? We start with a few tools. We need our inks and we need our blending brushes. So I'm using a piece of texture card, which I'm going to lay across the top of my Ulti-Mate 2. And you'll see here that this is, the table's moving more than the paper's moving. Obviously I can pick it up and move it. If I put it here, again, it's not moving. But for now, we're going to just butt it up somewhere across the top, and we're going to line it up with our pegs. Now, I'm using my stencil brushes, and they are beautiful. They've got a lovely long handle. Now, if I pop them down here for you, you'll see that they are 15.5 centimeters long, which equates to, again, we've got our ruler up here, just over 6 inches. And you get 3 sizes with the stencil brushes, which are really handy. And I'm also using my Wonder brushes, and I'm using 3 of the same size because I'm a little bit fanatical about this large size. I absolutely love these brushes for larger open areas. So we'll pop our brushes down here for now, and you can see they're very well loved. All my brushes are, they are just very handy to have. Now, let me bring in our layering stencil first. So as I say, mine are loved. Mine are used. Mine are back in the packet, but they are marked, and so don't feel that it's a problem if your stencils stain and they have marks on them. It really doesn't matter. They still will do the absolute perfect job. My stencils a little wipe off just to make sure there's not too much mess on them, or I haven't left too much residue from last time, and they are still a little grubby, but that is just stain from the stencils. Now we're going to take number 1. So what you will see, you probably won't pick this up on camera, but when you get yours home, let me make sure I've got mine the right way round. It would make life a lot easier. In the top corner there is a number, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and actually where the ink has caught this, you can see hopefully number 4 there. Actually, when I move these slightly, the light does capture them a little bit, but what you can do is grab a Sharpie pen and you can literally mark these in the corner with your 1 to 6. The first thing we're going to do is take stencil number 1 and lay this over the top of our pegs, and that is all you need to do. Now what you can do, if you feel necessary, you can always grab a little piece of low tack masking to hold it down, but actually the more confident you get with your tool, you will find this isn't really necessary. So we're only going to use 4 colour of inks. Now currently I have my own range of blending inks, but any ink that you have that does blending will be absolutely perfect for this. So I'm using a nice bright yellow, and mine's actually called Juicy Pineapple. I'm using a nice bright blue. I'm using a lovely soft pink, or actually quite a vibrant pink when it's used, and then a grey. So whatever inks you have in your stash, perfectly ideal. As long as they blend, that is the main thing about this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create some of my own colours. So I'm going to be using my yellow, and I'm going to start with one of my smaller blending brushes. Now we could use a tiny one, but I think I'm actually going to go up to the larger one for this, because these gaps are quite big, and I'm trying to get this done quickly for you so you can actually see something on the paper, because currently we've got white on white and it's making it very difficult for you actually to see what I'm doing. So now it's becoming clear, hopefully, and we're going to pop the ink down over all of these elements. Now you can see, let me bring in the packaging. You can see from this is actually the leaves that I'm doing and the stems, and I put a yellow on here, but I'm doing that because what I'm going to do after this, I'm going to mix the blue in with this and change up my tones of green. And the beauty about this is, because you have that peg system, which is very fast, you can literally in and out switch up your stencils with a matter of ease. Now leave that like so. I'm going to pop the lid on that, and I'm going to grab a smaller stencil brush, pop my yellow just up there so it's just out of shot for now, and we're going to bring in the blue. And actually I think I might use the larger blending brush for this, I think. Yes, because that'd be easier. So we're just going to bring in some of the blue. I'm going to take a very little of the blue though, and we're going to very lightly go over the top, and what will happen is it will turn that yellow, add the blue and create your own green, but it will create a nice vibrant green. So straight away, you've got your beautiful stems. And again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this just out of camera here, but we will come back to it potentially. So then we literally grab layer 2 straight over the top, and we do exactly the same. Now I'm going to do the same again. I'm going to bring in my yellow. I'm going to pop the, now if you've got a green that you really like, absolutely use your green straight away, but I do like to mix and match my colours a little. So now we're going to bring in that second one. We've got number 2 in the corner, and we're going to go straight over the top with the yellow, and we're going to create a beautiful set of leaves on our piece. And I'm going to use the ink that's left on the brush from the blue, and I'm going to pop a little bit of that on, and it will give me just a little different tone, And it will create that green look for me without it being too green. Literally same inks, but we've got a very different look from it. So now we come in with our third stencil straight over the pegs. And this time I'm going to use a pink. I'm going to do a beautiful pink and then an anemone. And we're going to grab our larger brush and we're going to do this lightly. We're not going to go in heavy with this. So come off of the stencil first. And then we literally come around the areas just like so, and you wait to see how beautiful this is. So I can quite easily lift that off really quickly, and if I'm not happy, I can put it down, nothing's moved, and I can literally go back in and create some more depth if I feel I need to. I'll pop my stencil down and I'm going to come in with stencil number 4 and over the top, and this is where it becomes absolutely beautiful. And I've always say when I start using my stencils, your first one is your worst one, because this is your practice and this is where you see where you're going right and where you're going wrong, what colour you wish you'd done or not done, as the case may be. And I'm going to brighten that up just a little bit. There we go. That's going to be so pretty. And it's giving us a little bit of a different tone. So we're almost done now. Absolutely almost done. This is going to look stunning. Oh, look at that already. How beautiful is that piece of art? Pop the 5th one down. Now I've still got a little bit of grey on that brush, but I don't mind because I don't want it too bright. So I'm going to go in with these berries with the yellow, and they're going to give like a little grey green kind of colour because I've still got grey on the brush. And then we've got our little flowers here, and I'm going to just go in there as well. It's our little centres of our flowers, and now the grey's dissipating and we've got most of that beautiful yellow coming through on these. So that's done that layer, and I'm going to leave the yellow. It doesn't matter, it just really doesn't matter, it just gives some definition. It's beautiful, and I haven't dabbed off too much, but the yellow and the grey again mixing over the top of these is going to be beautiful. And honestly, this makes you look like a super artist without any effort at all. It is absolutely stunning. So what we're going to do in a moment is we're going to grab our dies and we're going to cut this out, and then we are going to run it through our 3D embossing folder. Now please remember that these are 3D embossing folders and you need to adjust your sandwich accordingly. They are a lot thicker than many regular folders on the market, and you need to be very careful when you use them in your machine. Now I use 2 machines of choice. My Sizzix Big Shot, I literally remove one of the clear cutting plates, and that works perfectly for me with my cardstock. I use the Tonic Tangerine, and I use the raspberry coloured plate and the green coloured plate. They seem to work well for me too. But obviously check your manufacturer's instructions and have a look at what works best for you and your machine. So as you can see there, I've just laid the die over the top. And now all we're going to do is run this through our die cutting machine. So now that, how beautiful is that? So the next thing we're going to do is, this is a matter of choice. You don't have to do this. We are now going to use our 3D embossing folder. Now for ease, a really good tip is to have a piece of black card handy. And I always do this. So when I lay that down, I can now see the outline of my embossing folder. Now I pick a couple of spots where I line mine up, and then I put my finger down and swivel. So here I'm going to pick these 2 leaves here, and I'm going to hold those down, and with my other hand I'm just going to rotate until that fits in position perfectly. So let's see how this has worked. I can already see it's beautiful within the folder. Look at the depth. Look at how stunning that is. Hopefully you can see that. Next question. You want to do this, but you don't have one of my stencils. You want to be doing some stenciling of your own. You want to be using the stencils you have in your stash. So what we've done is we have created this little die, and it's called the peg partner die. And all it is your peg holes exactly the same. So we've literally replicated the peg holes. So now what you can do is, if you have another stencil, now this is a layering stencil that we created. Take a point, and I'm going to lay my peg tool like so. These cut through mylar, so which is the most important thing. So any stencil you have, you can pop that down like so. So now If I lift that up, and then you've created your holes at the top of your stencil. And then you would take your next stencil, you would line it over the top, you would put a Sharpie in either end, line it up, and then you would run that through your die cutting machine, and you can then use any stencil in the Ulti-Mate too. So I do hope you enjoyed that tutorial, and I hope to see you again very soon.